I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm live. Hi, how are you today? Uh, in my deadpan way of introducing myself, let me position this chair just right. Um, how are you today? I am sometimes very, very, very cynical about life, and I'm just watching the news every day, and I just like, what the fuck? Are we ever going to progress as a country? Keep asking myself that. I seriously have my doubts many times, more times than not. Yet I remain committed to trying to do my part for change. I work graveyard shift, so I don't exactly go out and pound the streets as far as activism is concerned these days. In fact, it's been quite a while since I've been to a protest or done something a little more intensive than voting, other than being an asshole on YouTube running my mouth. But suffice to say, being an asshole that I am right now, I'm going to run my mouth, and I'm going to run my mouth about a subject that's very dear to me: Medicare for all. I support Medicare for all. It was at one time called National Health Insurance. It's been referred to for many years as single payer health care. By its nastiest critics, it's called socialized medicine. And by the way, Medicare for all is not socialized medicine. I support Medicare for all, but I am actually more receptive toward socialized medicine. And socialized medicine is what they have in the UK, for example, the National Health Service. Medicare for all is what they have in Canada, National Health Insurance. There's a difference. They're both better than what we have here in the United States any day. I'm not particularly keen on the hybrid systems that they have in places like the Netherlands and Germany. Um, Partly private insurance, partly public insurance. But even with theirs, is still better than what we have here. But for me, we need Medicare for all. It's one of those duh positions. It's like and I've said this many times that I mean, we should have had this a long time ago. We should have had this back in the 1940s and 1950s. It shouldn't even have been a controversial issue back then. And it's funny. I talked to my dad a long time ago about the subject when I started getting interested in this, and he told me that when he was at UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm going to do a little side story before I get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. My dad told me that what was recommended reading when he was at UNC Chapel Hill in the early 1960s was The Other America um, by Michael Harrington. That's a name that's not really familiar to many people in this country today, but it was kind of a mainstream name, and he's been a frequent guest on Firing Line with William Buckley back in the days when even conservative media were of uh, of quality. I mean, you compare William Buckley today to you know Sean Hannity or Rush Limbaugh. Really, really? I mean, I'm no fan of William Buckley, but at least Buckley was quality. There's nothing. There's no quality to Fox News. There's no quality to One American News Network or to talk radio. There's just no quality. Um, but anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. My dad told me back in the early '60s. He said he figured it would be a time that the United States will be like some of the European countries that are developing socialistic systems of healthcare across the ocean. He figured it was a matter of time before it happened. And then he told me by the time Ronald Reagan came along, he figured that probably would never happen in the United States. I am sad to say that I agree with him in that regard. It's never going to happen. And I say this now, but you know what? I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to one day when the United States develops some common sense and create Medicare for all. It needs to happen. And if we don't have Medicare for all, I mean, we're going to collapse as a country. Medicare for all is what's going to save this country. And I just don't understand people who why they would think otherwise. Anyway, what is Medicare for all? Basically, it's the abolishing of private health insurance. And it would here in the United States to have Medicare for all, it would mean abolishing private health insurance for pretty much everything that involves healthcare. There might be some supplemental insurance you'll have to buy for, cosmetic surgery or things of that nature. Things that are not, you know, imperative towards saving lives or what have you. That would probably be allowed to exist as private insurance. But your medical, your dental, your optical, your vision. I mean, the whole thing that what we all go to the various doctors for will be covered under a Medicare for all system that's expanded toward the entire population, where 100% of the American population will have access to healthcare. Is it socialism? No, I mean, socialists support Medicare for all, but it's not socialized medicine. As I said, Great Britain's National Health Service is socialized medicine. Canada's system is national health insurance. And I probably said that already. But, Western nations have it. And you know what? So many of these Western nations, pretty much the entire West has a national healthcare system in each nation, each society. Some of the societies even have a stronger free enterprise system than we do. How you like them apples? Communist North Korea does not have healthcare for the people. Ultra capitalist South Korea provides a Medicare for all style single payer system for everybody in South Korea. And South Korea is associated with capitalism. You see where I'm going with this? And we can't afford it. That's what we keep hearing here. You hear it. You hear it from Republican types, but you also hear it from the corporate Democrats. They were chastising Bernie Sanders, the media, and fellow Democrats during the 2020 primaries. How are we going to pay for it? It's expensive. How are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? The dumbest question you can imagine asking. Well, when corporations need to be bailed out, oh, the money's there. Or if we're going to sit there and bomb the shit out of brown people in the Middle East, oh, the money's there. The money's always there. The money is there for corporate welfare during this pandemic and in stimulus packages, but no stimulus checks or UBIs or anything like that. Nancy Pelosi. With the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan in the last 2 decades, and we need to send our troops home from over there. It's ironic that we actually created a Medicare for all single payer system in Iraq and Afghanistan that's being paid for out of our U.S. tax dollars right now. And we can't have it here. I'm happy that people in Afghanistan has access to health care. I'm happy that people in Iraq has access to healthcare. I really am, truly am. And I hope that when we exit out of there, I hope nothing fundamentally changed when it comes to healthcare for the people of Iraq or people of Afghanistan. However, it would be nice if we could have that healthcare here in the United States. Obamacare. It was a bad plan. It was a bad plan because it was created by the Heritage Foundation. It was a way to try to have something that would prevent Medicare for all or single payer from existing. Unfortunately, the right wing were smart enough to know that spineless Democrats would vote for their bad plan because Democrats are spineless and they try to find the easy way out of everything. And That's what's happened. Obamacare. And so they tricked the Democrats into taking the shitty health care plan by the Heritage Foundation, tricked the Democrats into supporting it, and tricked them into owning a health care plan that and probably many of them were not even too sure about themselves. And here we are. And we need, I've always said I oppose Obamacare because maybe I'm being ideologically pure and sectarian, but I don't care. I don't care about ideological purity. I know what's right, and having Medicare for all is right. Having this shitty plan that preserve private insurance and penalize people who can't afford to buy private health insurance, that's bullshit. Okay, enter Bernie Sanders, 2016 and 2020. He mainstreamed the idea of Medicare for all, whereas not considered really all that controversial the way it used to be. Oh, I remember in the 1990s and in the early 2000s saying I favor single payer system. People look at me and they about probably about 75%, 3/4 of the people when they heard me talk about Medicare for all or single payer as it was called at the time, favoring it, they look at me like I was the spawn of Satan himself. Well, by the time Bernie Sanders came along, that 3 out of 4 people, or ended up becoming more like about 30% of the time people look at me like I was a piece of shit for suggesting Medicare for all. So things are improving in that regard as far as the public relations. But the problem is, corporate Democrats are they're scared of their own shadow. They're scared to govern. They know it's the right thing to do, but they're scared and they're fixated in the year 1992. They can't get beyond the year 1992. You know, and because they're scared, they're going to be called socialists. Bill and Hillary Clinton were called socialists. They were not. Barack Obama was called a socialist. He was not. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are, they're currently being called socialists. They are not. Nancy Pelosi has been referred to as a socialist. She is not. She's been accused of being out of touch radical leftist. Just because you're from San Francisco doesn't mean you're left wing. I mean, granted, I know it's a progressive city, but doesn't mean that you're left wing. I mean, New York is a large city. I mean, California, is a very democratic state. But you know what? It's corporate Democrats that run the state of California, not progressive Democrats. It ain't no Vermont, in other words. But anyway, Nancy Pelosi is opposed to Medicare for all. Enter Jimmy Dore. Now, I think that most people in my audience here know who Jimmy Dore is, but for the benefit of those who are not familiar, I will let you know who Jimmy Dore is. Jimmy Dore is a stand-up comedian that ended up becoming a political commentator, and he got a job at the Young Turks back in 2012, I believe it was, the Jimmy Dore Show, and he actually co-hosted other programs on the Young Turks. In 2019, the Jimmy Dore Show actually officially departed away from the Young Turks and went solo, went by itself, independent. Jimmy Dore is really not well liked by a lot of people. I mean, especially in the left wing independent media sphere. Sam Cedar, David Pakman, Anna Kasparian, for example. Progressive Voice, Sahil Habibi. They all talk a lot of crap about Jimmy Dore. They don't like him, and he does seem to have kind of an abrasive personality. I guess I can understand where people will come to that conclusion. I mean, he just keeps it real, and people don't know how to take it at times. But Jimmy Dore's got some people that there are people that like Jimmy Dore, and Kyle Kalinske. is good friends with Jimmy Dore. Nico House, um, Fiorella Isabel, Craig, Pasta Jardula, um, Tim Black, and several. So you got people in the Graham Elwood, Ron Placone. You have people in the left wing independent media sphere that are very good friends with Jimmy Dore. But I'm hearing, I hear so much crap, like almost weekly, by Sam Cedar. You know who Sam Cedar is. He kind of reminds me of a very young Ben Stein that has a Democratic Socialist of America membership card in his wallet. uh, anyhow, um, but the thing is that even Sam Cedar acknowledged as much crap as he's been talking against Jimmy Dore for the past couple of years, seemingly. He acknowledged that Jimmy Dore's got a great idea, and the idea is catching like wildfire. So I'm a nobody, but I do consider myself a contemporary on the independent media left right now because I'm actually trying. I'm going to confess, I'm trying to make a go of this program here. And that's why I want y'all to subscribe. Anyway, Jimmy Dore came up with a suggestion, and even Sam Cedar said, "Hey, that's a good idea." So he's urging the squad. I'm talking about Jimmy Dore. Decided you need to urge the squad. And that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Raschida Tlaib, and now we have a slightly expanded squad that will also include Jammal Bowman. It will include Cori Bush. And there's a scattering of other people in Congress, Pramila Jayapal, for example, who in her case, she's an expert on the subject of Medicare for all. And we need Medicare for all right now. And these corporate Democrats they think that we on the left just going to sit there and just take it and just take it and just take it, because frankly it's what we've been doing for many, many, many years. But Jimmy Dore is urging to create leverage. I myself kept hearing, once we get rid of Trump, Orange Man, well, what's going to happen? We're going to sit there and we're going to be obnoxious and we're going to get in Joe Biden's face. We're going to get in Kamala Harris's face. We're going to get in Nancy Pelosi's face. And we're going to sit there and tell them, you play ball. Well, here's your chance right now. You tell Nancy Pelosi, anybody here that has connections to Congress, not that I'm anything awesome, but this is my 2 cents. Well, actually, I'm paraphrasing Jimmy Dore. But basically what Jimmy Dore is saying is, Nancy Pelosi, if you want the support of the squad and the squads of the people who are allies or friendly toward the squad in Congress, and if you want to remain Speaker of the House, you better allow a House vote on Medicare for all. Stop preventing Medicare for all from being discussed and being put to a vote in the U.S. House. You do that. You allow that vote. We are going to go and support you. If you don't, and you don't have enough votes, your position for Speaker of the House may be very much in danger. So, Missy, you better play ball with us, or you're going to have hell to play when you're no longer Speaker of the House and you're just an irrelevant member of the U.S. House at that point. Because once you're down, you're just going to be a backbencher. And if you don't want to be a backbencher, you better play ball with us. I hope that the squad and their allies in the U.S. House is listening to Jimmy Dore. And I'm urging anybody who's within earshot of this video, to call your members of the U.S. House of Representatives and urge them, especially if they're Democrats, to tell them to play ball, to force Nancy Pelosi to play ball or suffer the consequences of being demoted to a backbencher. That's what we need to do. We need to show them we're not going to take this shit anymore. So, hey, this is your chance right now. Do it. Let's do it. And I know if it passes in the U.S. House, fine. And of course, if the Democrats are no longer, if they're still not the majority, and if it's still Republican chamber, so fucking what? You can make Mitch McConnell look like a fucking asshole when we have this damn pandemic and people need health care, and he's an obstacle to progress. You could create a populist movement, and once everybody has health care, not that I'm a partisan hack, and I have reservations about relying too much on the Democratic Party. But if you really, really want the Democratic Party to be an institutionalized party where it's overwhelmingly popular with the people, you better start doing something about like providing health care for people, or at least trying to. And I don't mean, like you're pretending you're trying to, but fighting like hell for it. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were triggered, well, it's a free country. You don't have to agree with it. Either way, comment. Share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you have a platform and you're passionate about something, utilize it. If you're passionate about something and you don't have a platform, develop that platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Furthermore, I want you to hit that subscribe button and help make this channel grow. And until next time, let's fight for Medicare for all, peace, and Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.